Chosen one. Have you ever stood in your kitchen at 3 a.m., staring at bills scattered across the table like tombstones, and whispered to God, When will you remember my address? Have you carried the same prayer for 20, 30, 40 years, until your knees wore grooves in the bedroom floor, and your faith felt like paper in the rain? Have you watched others sail past you into abundance, while you, faithful you, stood in the same place, wondering if heaven had a postal service problem? Stop, right there. Stop. Chosen one. You didn't stumble onto this message. You were summoned. The algorithms didn't bring you here, providence did. And right now, at this very moment, heaven is leaning in so close you can feel the breath of eternity on your neck. What I'm about to tell you will shatter every lie the enemy whispered about your worthiness. You've been told you're too late, too old, too forgotten. But I'm here with a shocking revelation that will stop your heart and restart your hope. You've already won. Your victory isn't coming, it's here. Your breakthrough isn't on the way, it arrived the moment you clicked play. But here's the key that will change everything. Don't move. Don't chase. Don't strive. Because a tidal wave of God's provision money, so shocking it will leave your family speechless, is rushing toward you right now. Before we journey deeper into this divine encounter, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and let the Holy Spirit lead your heart. But right now, if you feel that stirring in your chest, if your spirit just whispered, "This is for me," comment 777 below. That's not just a number. That's your covenant with heaven. That's your declaration that you're ready to receive what God has been holding back until this very moment. The waiting stops today. Your season of barely making it dies tonight. And what rises from those ashes will leave hell itself wondering what just happened. Are you ready to discover why you had to walk through hell to get to this moment of heaven? How many nights have you sat at your kitchen table, calculator in one hand, stack of bills in the other, wondering if you'll outlive your savings? How many times have you stared at that Medicare statement, that prescription bottle, that estimate for home repairs, and felt your chest tighten with the cold mathematics of survival? How many mornings have you woken up wondering if this is all there is, scraping by on fixed income while watching your dreams get smaller and your world get quieter? Listen to me, dear one. What you're feeling right now isn't just financial anxiety. It's the ache of a promise that seems delayed. It's the weight of decades spent believing that if you just worked hard enough, saved enough, sacrificed enough, somehow the golden years would actually be golden. Instead, you find yourself rationing hope like it's medicine you can't afford to run out of. You watch your children struggling with their own bills, and you can't help them the way you want to. You see your grandchildren needing things, college funds, opportunities, dreams, and your hands feel empty. You've spent a lifetime being the provider, the rock, the one everyone leaned on. Now you're the one who needs help, and that reversal cuts deeper than any financial struggle ever could. But here's what the enemy of your soul doesn't want you to know. Here's what hell has been working overtime to hide from you. That ache in your chest, that restless stirring when you pray, that sense that there's more. That's not desperation, that's expectation. That's your spirit, recognizing what your mind hasn't grasped yet. You haven't been forgotten, you've been positioned. Scripture declares in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future." Notice that word prosper. In Hebrew, it's shalom, not just peace, but wholeness, completeness, abundance that touches every area of your life. God isn't promising you just enough to get by. He's promising you overflow. This isn't positive thinking, beloved. This is God's guarantee. This isn't name it and claim it theology. This is divine economics written in blood and sealed with resurrection power. Proverbs 10:22 tells us, "The blessing of the Lord brings wealth, without painful toil for it." Did you catch that? Without painful toil. You've spent decades in painful toil, haven't you? Working jobs that drained your soul, making sacrifices that nobody saw, carrying burdens that bent your back and grayed your hair. But God's blessing doesn't come through grinding. It comes through grace. Let me paint you a picture that might change everything. There's a farmer in Iowa who plants corn every spring. He takes those seeds, dry, lifeless-looking things, and buries them in dark, cold ground. For weeks, nothing happens. The field looks dead. Neighbors drive by and see nothing but dirt. But underneath, where no one can see, life is stirring. Roots are growing, stems are pushing upward. And one morning, that farmer wakes up to find green shoots breaking through the surface. That's you right now, chosen one. You've been buried but not destroyed. You've been planted, not abandoned. Those years of struggle, those seasons of silence, those nights of wondering if God still remembers your address, that was the planting season. The germination period, and the breakthrough you've been praying for, is already pushing through the soil of your circumstances. You think your age disqualifies you, but God thinks your experience qualifies you. You think your Medicare card means you're winding down, but heaven sees a seasoned warrior ready for the greatest victory of your lifetime. You think your retirement years mean retreating from purpose, but God is saying those decades of faithfulness have earned you the right to step into unprecedented provision. The wealth that's coming, and it is coming, isn't random. It's not lottery luck or investment returns. It's divine appointment. It's recompense for every tear you've cried over bills. It's interest on every prayer you've whispered in desperation. It's God's way of saying, "You've been faithful with little. Now let me show you what faithful with much looks like." But here's the part that will either make you leap for joy or shake your head in disbelief. The very thing that makes you feel forgotten, your age, your fixed income, your sense that the world has moved on without you, that's exactly what makes you perfect for this miracle. God doesn't choose the obvious. He doesn't pick the expected. He takes the overlooked, the underestimated, the ones the world has written off, and he makes them his showcase. Sarah was 90 when she gave birth to nations. Moses was 80 when he divided seas. Caleb was 85 when he conquered mountains. Your birth certificate isn't your limitation, it's your credentials. Every year you've lived is proof that you're not easily broken. Every bill you've somehow managed to pay is evidence that you know how to trust God when the math doesn't add up. The reason you feel restless, the reason sleep doesn't come as easily, the reason you catch yourself staring out windows with that far-off look, your spirit knows something your mind hasn't processed yet. You're not waiting to die, you're waiting to be deployed. This isn't your sunset, this is your sunrise. But here's what will determine whether you step into this promise or watch it pass you by. Will you believe that God's best for you is still ahead, or will you settle for surviving when He's called you to thrive? Dear one, let me ask you something that's going to cut deep into your soul. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and wondered how you're still standing? When was the last time you counted the battles you've fought and realized that by all earthly logic, you should have been broken years ago? You've survived things that would have destroyed lesser souls, haven't you? That depression in your 50s that felt like a black hole swallowing your will to live. Those sleepless nights when the bills outnumbered the dollars in your bank account by 10 to 1. The phone calls from doctors with words like malignant and advanced stage. The divorce papers that arrived on your 25th wedding anniversary. The pink slip after 30 years of faithful service. But here you are, still breathing, still believing, still watching this message. Why? Because you're chosen. And chosen ones don't break, they bend, they bleed, but they don't break. Think about Joseph in that Egyptian dungeon. Genesis 39 tells us he was thrown into prison for a crime he didn't commit. 2 years. 2 years of rotting in darkness while dreams seemed to mock him from memory. The same young man who once wore a coat of many colors was now wearing prison rags, forgotten by everyone except God. But what happened next? Pharaoh had a dream, and suddenly overnight Joseph went from prisoner to prime minister, from the dungeon to the palace, from forgotten to the second most powerful man in Egypt. Your prison season is ending, chosen one. Your palace is being prepared. Look at Job. This man lost everything in a single day. 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 donkeys, all his servants dead, and all 10 of his children buried. Job 1:21 records his words, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." But here's what will shock you. Job 42:10 declares that the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. Twice as much. That wasn't just restoration, that was divine multiplication. Every loss became double gain. Every tear watered seeds of unprecedented blessing. Your double portion is coming. You want modern proof? Look at Oprah Winfrey. Born into poverty so deep she wore potato sacks as dresses. Sexually abused, dismissed, told she was unfit for television news. At 22, she was fired from her first television job in Baltimore because she was too emotionally invested in the stories. Too emotional. The very trait they said disqualified her became the foundation of a billion-dollar empire that transformed millions of lives. Consider Martin Luther King Jr., arrested 29 times, his house bombed, death threats every day. Standing in that Birmingham jail cell, he could have given up. Instead, he wrote words that changed a nation. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. His persecution became his platform. His suffering became his strength. Your pain has been your preparation, chosen one. But let me tell you something that's going to shatter every victim mentality you've ever carried. You could have died in that depression. The statistics say you should have. 1 in 4 seniors battle depression severe enough to require intervention, and many don't survive the darkness. But you did. You could have been swallowed whole by those medical bills. The average American files for bankruptcy due to medical debt every 36 seconds. Your situation was impossible by every financial metric. But somehow, some way, you found a path through. You could have lost your mind when your spouse of 40 years walked away. The trauma specialists have charts and graphs proving that kind of abandonment destroys people your age. But you're still here, still sane, still standing. Why are you still here when others in your exact situation didn't make it? Because your survival is supernatural. Your endurance is evidence. Your very existence at this moment, listening to these words, is proof positive that heaven has been holding you up when earth let you down. You think those sleepless nights were punishment? They were prayer vigils. God was downloading strength into your spirit during those dark hours when you thought he wasn't listening. You think those financial struggles were evidence of his absence? They were divine preparation, teaching you that your source isn't your salary, it's your savior. Every tear you've cried has been collected in heaven's bottles. Psalm 56:8 promises that God keeps track of all your sorrows. He's been taking inventory, calculating compound interest on your pain, preparing to pay you back with interest that will leave your family speechless for generations. But here's the revelation that's going to change everything. Your survival isn't just about you. You weren't preserved for your own comfort. You were preserved as evidence. Living, breathing proof that God keeps his promises even when the world says it's impossible. Right now, I need you to do something prophetic. I need you to pause and type 2 words in the comments. Still standing. Don't just think it, declare it. Because your declaration isn't just testimony, it's prophecy. You're not just reporting what was, you're declaring what will be. Type still standing if you recognize that your survival is supernatural. Type still standing if you understand that your endurance is evidence. Type still standing if you believe that your worst chapter was actually preparation for your greatest chapter. Because here's the shocking truth that's going to launch us into the next level of this revelation. Your survival is proof you've already won. The very fact that you're still breathing, still believing, still here in this moment, means the victory is already yours. The war was won the moment you refused to surrender. But if your survival is proof of victory, then what does that say about what's coming next? If God preserved you through hell, what kind of heaven is He preparing to release? Listen to me very carefully, dear one. What I'm about to tell you might be the hardest thing you've ever heard. Not because it's complicated, but because everything in your flesh will scream against it. Don't move. Right now, as financial pressure crushes your chest like a freight train, as medical bills pile up like accusation letters from hell itself, as your children's eyes reflect worry they think you can't see, every instinct in your body is telling you to do something, chase something, fix something, but God is whispering something different. Be still. Psalm 46:10 doesn't say, "Be busy and know that I am God." It doesn't say, "Be stressed and know that I am God." It says, "Be still and know that I am God." But stillness terrifies us, doesn't it? Because stillness feels like surrender, and surrender feels like death. You've been running for decades, haven't you? Running toward promotions that never came, running toward investments that collapsed, running toward opportunities that evaporated the moment you touched them. Your feet are bloody from chasing blessings that seem to stay exactly 3 steps ahead of you. But what if I told you that every step you took in the wrong direction was actually positioning you for the right miracle? The enemy wants you to move right now. He's whispering in your ear, "God helps those who help themselves. You need to make something happen. You're running out of time." But that voice isn't from heaven, it's from hell, because the enemy knows something about your destiny that he's desperate to prevent. Your blessings aren't coming toward you. They're chasing you down. Listen to this carefully. In Deuteronomy 28:2, God promises, "All these blessings will come on you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God." Did you catch that? The blessings come on you. They accompany you. You don't hunt them, they hunt you. But here's the mystery that will shatter your understanding. Your greatest breakthrough requires your greatest stillness. The more desperate you feel, the more still you must become. The louder the bills scream, the quieter your spirit must rest. Because what's heading your way is so massive, so overwhelming, that if you're not anchored in divine peace, it will knock you over. Picture this with me. Somewhere in the realm of the spirit, there's a tidal wave of gold and light building momentum. Not metaphorically, literally. Angels are moving celestial resources at the speed of lightning. Bank accounts are being aligned. Investment opportunities are being prepared. People with checks are being positioned in your path. But this wave of abundance is so powerful, so unstoppable, that it will sweep away anything not firmly rooted in God's will. That's why you can't move. That's why you must stay planted in faith, anchored in obedience, rooted in the unshakable truth that your provider has already provided. Do you remember the children of Israel at the Red Sea? Exodus 14:13-14 records Moses' words, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." They didn't build a boat. They didn't learn to swim. They didn't negotiate with Pharaoh. They stood still and watched God split an ocean. But here's what keeps me awake at night, praying over your situation. How many miracles have you missed because you moved too soon? How many divine appointments did you run past because you were too busy chasing the wrong door? How many times did God say, "Wait here, I'm bringing it to you," but you got restless and went looking somewhere else? The hardest thing for the American spirit is inactivity. We've been programmed to believe that motion equals progress, that busyness equals blessing, that hustle equals harvest. But God's economy operates on a different principle entirely. His economy runs on faith, not feet, on trust, not travel, on stillness, not striving. Right now, as you sit there listening to these words, something supernatural is happening. Your spirit is being calibrated to heaven's frequency. Your faith is being tuned to receive what flesh could never earn. The very fact that you're not running around frantically trying to solve your financial crisis is proof that God is preparing you for something your human effort could never accomplish. But I need to warn you about something that's going to test every ounce of faith you have. The tidal wave of abundance heading your way is going to defy every law of natural logic. Money will appear from sources you never applied to. Opportunities will find you instead of you finding them. People will offer you resources for reasons they can't explain. And when it happens, when the supernatural overflow begins, everyone around you will demand an explanation. They'll want to know your strategy, your system, your secret, and you'll have to tell them the truth that will sound like madness to the natural mind. I stopped moving. I became still. And God moved heaven and earth on my behalf. This is prophetic obedience, dear one. Not the kind of obedience that follows rules, but the kind that follows the voice of the Spirit, even when that voice says the opposite of what the world screams. But here's the urgency that should grip your heart right now. This window of divine provision has an expiration date, not because God changes his mind, but because your faith has a shelf life. The longer you wait to embrace this truth, the harder it becomes to believe it. The more you listen to voices of doubt, the fainter God's voice becomes. Are you ready to stop running and start receiving? Are you ready to discover why every closed door, every rejected application, every financial disappointment was actually God's way of keeping you available for something greater than you ever dared to imagine? Listen to me, dear one. I need to tell you something that's going to shatter every twisted lie the prosperity gospel preachers never told you. Something that will expose why you've been ashamed of wanting financial breakthrough when God himself ordained it. You've been programmed to believe that wanting money makes you greedy, that praying for abundance makes you shallow, that faithful people should be poor and struggling. But what if I told you that's the greatest deception Satan ever whispered into the church? Here's the shocking truth they don't want you to know. Your poverty is not your piety. Your lack is not your holiness. Your struggle is not your sanctification. Proverbs 10:22 declares, "The blessing of the Lord brings wealth, without painful toil for it." Did you catch that? God's blessing brings wealth, not struggle, not poverty, wealth. And it comes without the painful grinding that the world demands. But here's where this gets dangerous for the enemy's kingdom. Here's why hell mobilizes every time a chosen one discovers this truth. The money flowing toward you right now isn't lottery luck. It's not get-rich-quick schemes. It's not even answered prayer in the way you think. This is kingdom wealth transfer. You see, there's a vault in heaven's economy that's been accumulating interest on every tear you've cried, every sacrifice you've made, every time you chose faith over fear. And God just authorized the largest withdrawal in your family's history. But you need to understand something that will change everything about how you receive this money. You're not getting blessed so you can buy a bigger house and forget about the hurting. You're not being elevated so you can drive past the homeless and roll up your windows. The shocking amount of money rushing toward you carries a divine assignment. Luke 6:38 reveals the secret. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. You hear that? Running over. God doesn't just fill your cup. He floods your life so you can flood others with hope. Think about this for a moment. How many grandchildren in your family could have college paid for with this money? How many single mothers in your neighborhood could have their rent covered? How many food banks could be stocked? How many medical bills could be erased? The enemy has been lying to you for decades, whispering that you're too old to make a difference, that your time has passed, that God's done using people like you. But let me tell you about a man named Harland Sanders. He was 62 years old, broke, living on social security checks. His restaurant had just been demolished for a highway project. Most people would call it over. But Colonel Sanders had a recipe and a dream. He drove across America for 2 years, sleeping in his car, getting rejected 1,009 times before someone said yes to his chicken recipe. By 65, Kentucky Fried Chicken was born. By 75, he'd built an empire that feeds millions. Or consider Anna Mary Robertson. Grandma Moses didn't start painting until she was 78 years old. 78! Her arthritis was so bad she could barely hold a brush. But those paintings now hang in museums worldwide, inspiring generations. God saves his best wine for last. And you, chosen one, you're his finest vintage. But here's what's going to shock you about this wealth transfer. The money isn't just for you, it's through you. Proverbs 13:22 says, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children." You're not just receiving abundance, you're becoming the generational blessing that breaks poverty off your family tree forever. Right now, as I speak these words, there are children not yet born who will benefit from the decision you make today. There are ministries waiting to be funded. There are dreams dying in your community that need resurrection capital. The question, burning in heaven's throne room, isn't whether you're worthy of this money. The question is, will you be a faithful steward of kingdom resources? Because here's the uncomfortable truth that will separate the truly chosen from the merely curious. This wealth comes with accountability. Every dollar carries divine DNA. Every check has heaven's signature. Every opportunity demands righteous response. When that first unexpected check arrives in your mailbox, when that phone call comes with the job offer that defies logic, when that investment multiplies beyond mathematics, you'll know. You'll know this isn't coincidence, this isn't luck. This is God keeping promises he made to you in secret seasons when nobody was watching your faithfulness. But the moment you start hoarding instead of sharing, the moment you start consuming instead of creating, the moment you start accumulating instead of activating, the flow stops. The river dries up. The windows of heaven close. If you're ready to be more than just a recipient of blessing but a vessel of generosity, comment, "Use me, Lord, right now." Let heaven know you understand the assignment, because the money isn't just for you, beloved. The money is for your mission. And that mission starts the moment you realize you've been chosen not just to be blessed, but to be a blessing that echoes through eternity. The question that will determine your legacy isn't how much you accumulate, but how much you activate for God's kingdom. Are you ready to discover exactly how heaven plans to use your abundance to change the world? Listen to me, chosen one. Right now, as heaven's floodgates creak open above your life, the enemy is launching his most vicious assault. Not on your finances, not on your family, on your mind. Can you feel it? That cold whisper slithering through your thoughts like smoke under a door. What if you're too old? What if you missed your chance? What if this is just another empty promise? Stop. Look me in the eye through this screen. That voice isn't yours. That doubt didn't originate in your spirit. That's the desperate hiss of a defeated enemy who knows his time is up. The devil has one weapon left in his arsenal against you, and it's not poverty, it's the lie that it's too late. He's been saving this poison for your golden years, whispering that God's blessings have expiration dates, that miracles come with age limits, that breakthrough has a retirement age. But Isaiah 54:17 shatters that lie like glass. No weapon formed against you will prosper. Not some weapons, not most weapons, no weapon. That includes the weapon of doubt aimed at your silver hair. You want to know what terrifies hell about you right now? It's not your youth, you don't have that anymore. It's not your strength, your body isn't what it used to be. What terrifies the kingdom of darkness is your seasoned faith, your tested trust, your proven track record of surviving what should have destroyed you. The enemy is panicking because he knows something you're just beginning to remember. Your gray hair isn't evidence of decline, it's your crown of victory. Psalm 92:14 declares with thunderous authority, "They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green at 70, bearing fruit at 80, producing harvest at 90. But here come the whispers again, don't they? What if I wasted my best years? What if I made too many mistakes? What if God moved on to someone younger, someone better, someone who didn't mess up as much as I did?" Dear soul, let me tell you about Margaret, 83 years old, living in a cramped apartment in Queens, watching her family fall apart piece by piece. Her son lost his job. Her daughter's marriage was crumbling. Her grandchildren were spiraling into darkness. For months, she knelt beside her bed every night, praying through tears that stained her pillowcase. The world would have called her powerless. Just another forgotten grandmother in America's landscape of invisible seniors. But Margaret carried something the young don't possess, the authority of accumulated prayer, the weight of decades spent in conversation with the Almighty. One night, as she prayed for her family's salvation, something shifted in the spiritual realm. Within 6 months, her son found not just a job, but his calling. Her daughter's marriage was miraculously restored. Her grandchildren came home, not just to the house, but to faith. Margaret didn't move mountains with her strength. She moved them with her seasoned surrender. You think you're too old to matter? Tell that to Abraham at 100. You think you've missed your moment? Ask Sarah at 90. You think God's done using people like you? Check with Moses at 80, leading 2 million people to freedom. The fact that you're still breathing means God isn't finished. The fact that your heart is still beating means your assignment is still active. The fact that you found this message means heaven is still downloading instructions to your spirit. But the enemy knows his window is closing. He's throwing everything he's got at your mind because he recognizes the signs. Your prayers are about to be answered with interest. Your faithfulness is about to be rewarded with overflow. Your patient endurance is about to be crowned with abundance that will leave your family speechless. This is why the doubt feels so intense right now. This is why the fear seems so loud. This is why every insecurity you thought you'd buried is suddenly screaming for attention. The enemy isn't attacking random people, he's attacking dangerous people. And dangerous people are those who refuse to move when God says, "Be still." Right now, I need you to do something that will send shockwaves through hell itself. I need you to speak these words out loud, wherever you are. I will not move. I will trust. Say it again, louder. I will not move. I will trust. The blessing isn't coming, chosen one. The blessing is here. It's closer than your next breath. It's nearer than your heartbeat. It's as present as the air filling your lungs right now. Your age isn't a disqualification, it's your greatest qualification. Because only someone who's walked through decades of God's faithfulness can carry the kind of wealth that's about to be entrusted to you. Only someone who's learned to trust in the dark can handle abundance in the light. The enemy's final assault is failing. His weapons are bouncing off the armor of your tested faith. And what rises from this battle isn't just victory, it's the vindication that will silence every voice that ever whispered you were finished. But here's the question that will determine everything. Will you believe the whisper of doubt, or will you trust the roar of God's promises over your life? Listen to me, chosen one. Everything you've endured, every sleepless night counting pennies instead of blessings, every time you've had to tell your grandchildren maybe next Christmas, it was all leading to this moment. The moment when heaven says, enough is enough. Close your eyes for just a moment. Picture yourself 6 months from now. You walk into your bank, and for the first time in decades, you're not checking your balance with fear. You're checking it with wonder. The numbers don't make sense. They can't be real, but they are. Because when God decides to move, mathematics bow to miracles. Picture yourself walking into church on Sunday morning, not with that familiar knot of anxiety about the offering plate, not wondering if you can afford to give $5 without counting grocery money twice. Number. You walk in with checks already written, checks that will make the pastor weep, Checks that will fund the youth ministry your church has been praying for. Checks that will send missionaries to the mission field. But here's what breaks my heart about where you've been living. You've been rationing God's love like it's a finite resource. You've been treating His promises like they expire with age. You've been believing the lie that faithful people are supposed to struggle financially as some twisted badge of honor. That's not faith, that's fear wearing religious clothing. Deuteronomy 28:2 declares with thunder from Sinai, "All these blessings will come on you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God." Not some blessings, not partial blessings. All these blessings will chase you down like divine bloodhounds until they overtake you. You've been running from abundance instead of running toward it. You've been trained to expect just enough when God promised exceedingly abundantly above all you could ask or think. You've been settling for survival when your DNA is coded for overflow. But tonight, that programming gets deleted. Tonight, poverty loses its voice in your life forever. Picture your grandchildren's faces when you hand them their college fund, fully paid. Picture your daughter's tears when you pay off her mortgage. Picture your son's shock when you invest in his business dream that everyone else called foolish. This isn't fantasy, this is prophecy. Your story is Abraham's story. Genesis 12:2 didn't just apply to him. "I will bless you and make your name great, and you will be a blessing." You've been blessed to be a blessing, but you can't bless from empty pockets and fearful hearts. Abraham was 75 when God called him to leave everything familiar. 75. Society would have handed him a retirement brochure and a rocking chair, but God handed him a promise that would echo through eternity. You think you're too old? Abraham didn't even get started until your age. The wealth that's coming isn't just money. It's vindication. It's proof that every prayer you whispered in the dark was heard. Every tear you cried over bills was collected in heaven's bottles. Every time you chose faith over fear, you were making deposits into an account that's about to pay dividends that will shock Wall Street. Philippians 4:19 isn't a suggestion, it's a supernatural guarantee. My God will meet all your needs according to the riches of His glory in Christ Jesus. Not according to the economy, not according to your age, not according to your past mistakes, according to His riches in glory. Do you understand what that means? The same God who spoke galaxies into existence is personally managing your portfolio. The same God who controls the cattle on 1,000 hills is about to transfer some of those cattle into your account. But here's the urgency that should grip your soul right now. This window won't stay open forever. Divine seasons have divine timing. When God says now, He means now. When He says today, He doesn't mean tomorrow. How many more years are you going to let fear convince you that struggle is your portion? How many more months are you going to believe the lie that good things happen to other people? How many more days are you going to waste apologizing for dreams that came from heaven itself? The floodgates of heaven are creaking open above your life. Can you hear it? That rumbling, that's not thunder. That's the sound of supernatural provision breaking loose from eternity and crashing into your timeline. And you, yes you, sitting there in your living room, wondering if God still remembers your address. You are about to become the proof of God's faithfulness that this generation has been waiting to see. You're about to become the testimony that makes skeptics believe and the faithful shout, Hallelujah. The same God who made water gush from rocks in the wilderness is about to make wealth gush from sources you never expected. The same God who multiplied 5 loaves to feed 5,000 is about to multiply your seed into a harvest that feeds generations. You won't just survive your golden years, you'll finance them. You won't just make it through, you'll make it rain. You won't just get by, you'll give back. But are you ready to stop living like a spiritual orphan and start living like the child of the King you've always been? Picture yourself waking up tomorrow morning. The sunlight streams through your bedroom window, but something's different. You reach for your phone, check your bank account, and the numbers stare back at you like a foreign language. The mortgage is gone. The credit card debt vanished. That medical bill you've been dodging for 3 years paid in full. The fear that's been your alarm clock for decades is silent. But as you sit on the edge of your bed, something unsettling creeps into your chest. Not gratitude, not relief. Something deeper, more terrifying than poverty ever was. Because now comes the question that will haunt you forever. What am I supposed to do with this? You see, chosen one, the world lied to you about money. They told you it would solve your problems. They never warned you that wealth doesn't eliminate responsibility, it multiplies it. They never mentioned that abundance isn't just comfort, it's a weapon in the spirit realm. And every weapon comes with instructions written in blood. Listen to me carefully. When King Solomon stood before the Lord in 1 Kings chapter 3, God offered him anything his heart desired. Anything. The young king could have asked for riches that would make Jeff Bezos look like a street beggar. He could have demanded power that would make presidents bow. But Solomon shocked heaven itself when he whispered, "Give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong." And what happened? Verse 13 tells us, "Moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for both wealth and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings." God gave Solomon everything, because Solomon understood something that modern America has forgotten. Wealth without wisdom is a loaded gun in the hands of a child. But here's what's going to shake you to your core, dear one. This isn't just about you anymore. When God floods your bank account tomorrow, He's not blessing you, He's positioning you. Every dollar that flows into your hands carries the DNA of destiny. Not your destiny, your grandchildren's destiny. Think about it. Right now, somewhere in America, there's a 7-year-old girl sitting in a classroom, staring out the window, dreaming of becoming a doctor. But her single mother works 3 jobs just to keep the lights on. College, medical school. Those dreams feel as distant as Mars. But what if? What if your abundance becomes her scholarship? What if God is about to make you the bridge between her broken dreams and her breakthrough? What if that business loan you're about to approve funds the company that employs your neighbor's unemployed son? What if the ministry you're about to support reaches the teenager who was planning to end it all tonight? This is why your hands are shaking right now. This is why your chest feels tight. Because deep in your spirit, you're starting to understand the terrifying truth. God is not giving you wealth, He's giving you an assignment. Every inheritance carries instructions. Every blessing bears responsibility. And the amount of money rushing toward you right now is so staggering because the assignment is so massive. But here's where most people fail. They receive the abundance, and then they become spiritual hoarders. They turn their bank accounts into burial grounds, hoarding resources like dragons guarding treasure. They build bigger barns while their neighbors' children go to bed hungry. They upgrade their cars while their community's dreams die of malnutrition. And God watches in heartbreak as His chosen ones transform from vessels into vaults. The book of Luke chapter 12 tells us about a rich man whose crops produced so abundantly that he didn't know what to do with the overflow. His solution? "I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones." But that very night, God called him a fool, because he thought his abundance was about him. You want to know what terrifies me about your generation, chosen one? You've survived the Great Depression. You've lived through recessions that would cripple younger hearts. You've learned to hoard, to save, to clutch every penny like a life preserver. And now God is about to give you more money than you ever dreamed possible, and your first instinct will be to grip it tight. But what if I told you that the moment you close your fist around God's provision, it stops flowing? What if the secret to keeping the river of abundance flowing is to become a riverbank, not a dam? Your great-grandchildren you haven't met yet are depending on the decision you make in the next 60 seconds. Will you be the ancestor they thank in their prayers, or the one they wish had understood their purpose? Because here's the brutal truth. When you die, and you will die, The only thing that follows you into eternity is what you gave away. Not what you accumulated, not what you saved, what you surrendered. Every dollar sitting in your savings account when you take your last breath becomes evidence of missed opportunities. Every check you could have written but didn't becomes a silent accusation in the courts of heaven. God is about to flood your life with abundance so overwhelming that your accountant will need therapy. But remember this, you are not the destination, you are the delivery system. The money is not yours to keep, it's yours to steward. Right now, heaven is holding its breath, waiting to see what you'll do with this revelation. Will you be a vessel that pours out life to a dying world? Or will you be a vault that hoards treasure while souls perish? Comment right now, I am a vessel, not a vault. Because that declaration doesn't just tell heaven your intentions, it rewires your DNA for generosity. But this is only the beginning of understanding your true calling. Because what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly who you were chosen to become. Chosen one, I need you to do something that might feel uncomfortable. Look down at your hands right now. Really look at them. See those age spots, those wrinkles that map decades of worry, those scars from a lifetime of holding on when letting go would have been easier. The world taught you to hide those marks, cover them with makeup, wear long sleeves, be ashamed of the evidence that you've lived. But what if I told you that every single mark on your body is a divine tattoo? What if those scars aren't proof of your defeat, but proof that you lived through the fire and came out breathing? Don't move. Don't run from the pain. Look at it. It's prophecy written on your skin. That scar on your knee from when you fell chasing your 3-year-old grandson, that's not clumsiness. That's love made visible. That mark on your heart from the divorce that nearly killed you at 62, that's not failure. That's survival. Those worry lines carved deep around your eyes from sleepless nights praying over your children, those aren't signs of aging. Those are prayer lines. Evidence that you stood in the gap when others walked away. You've spent 70, 80, maybe 90 years being told your scars make you broken. But I'm here to tell you something that will shatter that lie forever. Your scars are receipts. They prove the enemy failed. They prove you already won. Think about Joseph, 17 years old when his own brothers threw him in a pit and sold him like livestock. 13 years in slavery, 13 years in prison, 13 years of wondering if God had forgotten his name. But when he finally stood before those same brothers who betrayed him, what did he say? Genesis 50-20. You meant it for evil, but God turned it for good to save many people alive. Joseph's scars became his credentials, his pain became his platform, his wounds became his weapon. Every year in that dungeon was God downloading wisdom he'd need to save a nation. Every betrayal was building character strong enough to handle an empire. That's you, chosen one. That's your story. Don't move. Don't run from the pain. Look at it. It's prophecy written on your skin. Let me tell you about Margaret, 83 years old. Raised 7 children after her husband walked out when the youngest was still in diapers. Worked 3 jobs. Slept 4 hours a night for 20 years. Her hands are gnarled from arthritis. Her back is bent from carrying weight no woman should carry alone. But last month, her great-granddaughter called her crying, pregnant at 17, scared, alone. And she said, "Grandma Great, how did you do it? How did you survive when everything fell apart?" Margaret's scars became a roadmap. Her pain became another generation's peace. Her survival story became someone else's survival strategy. Those gnarled hands that the world calls broken, they're the hands that held a family together when hell tried to tear it apart. Your scars aren't accidents, chosen one. They're appointments, divine appointments with destiny. Don't move. Don't run from the pain. Look at it. It's prophecy written on your skin. That depression that nearly swallowed you whole at 45. That wasn't God punishing you. That was God preparing you to pull someone else back from the edge. That addiction you battled for 15 years, that wasn't weakness. That was boot camp. training for the ministry God had waiting on the other side of your deliverance. That financial collapse that left you eating beans from a can at 70. That wasn't abandonment. That was God teaching you that your security doesn't come from your 401 kelvins. It comes from your relationship with the one who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. The enemy tried to write your obituary with every scar, but God was writing your resume. Every wound was qualifying you. Every tear was preparing you. Every sleepless night was building endurance for the assignment he had waiting. But here's what's going to shock you to your core. Those scars you've been ashamed of. They're about to become your credentials, that pain you've been hiding. It's about to become your platform. The very thing that almost destroyed you is about to become the very thing God uses to save others. Jesus kept his scars after the resurrection. Think about that. The Son of God could have risen with perfect, unmarked skin. But when he appeared to Thomas, what did he say? "Put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side." John 20:27. His scars were his proof. His wounds were his witness. Don't move. Don't run from the pain. Look at it. It's prophecy written on your skin. The money that's rushing toward you isn't coming because you're perfect. It's coming because you're proven. God doesn't trust untested vessels with his treasure. He trusts battle-scarred warriors who've learned that his grace is sufficient. Your scars are your spiritual credit score. They prove you can handle pressure without breaking. They prove you can walk through fire without getting consumed. They prove you're ready for the wealth that would destroy someone who hasn't been refined. Every wrinkle on your face tells a story of God's faithfulness. Every gray hair is a crown of wisdom earned in the trenches. Every scar is a medal of honor from the battlefield of faith. Your scars aren't evidence of your weakness, they're evidence of your worthiness. In the comments below, I want you to type one word. Just one word that describes your deepest scar. Not the physical one, the soul one, the one that almost broke you but didn't. Type it as an act of release, as a declaration that your scars are not your shame, they're your strength. But here's the question that will determine everything that happens next. Will you keep hiding your scars like secrets, or will you start wearing them like the crown of glory they actually are? You know what's happening right now, don't you? Right this very moment. As heaven prepares to release your breakthrough, hell is unleashing its final assault. The enemy knows his time is up. He can smell the money coming your way, and he's absolutely terrified. Listen to me carefully, dear one. The closer you get to your promised land, the louder the lions roar. Let me take you back to ancient Babylon, to a man named Daniel. Chapter 6 tells us he was thrown into a den of lions because his faith threatened the status quo. They wanted him dead, eliminated, erased from history. But here's what shakes me to my core about this story. Daniel didn't run. He didn't fight. He didn't even pray louder. Scripture says he simply went to his house, opened his windows toward Jerusalem, and prayed as he always had. He didn't move. When they dragged him to that pit, when they threw him to those beasts, when the stone sealed his fate, Daniel stood still. And God Almighty shut every lion's mouth. Not some of them, not most of them. Every single one became as silent as death itself. Chosen one, you're in your lion's den right now. Your lions have names. They're called debt, foreclosure notices, medical bills that stack like tombstones on your kitchen counter. They're called loneliness that gnaws at your soul at 3 a.m. Rejection from children who've forgotten your sacrifices. Doctors' reports that whisper death sentences. These lions have been circling you for months, haven't they? Roaring so loud you can barely think straight, telling you it's over. You're too old, too broke, too forgotten. The bills are due, and there's no miracle coming. But heaven is whispering something different tonight. Can you hear it beneath the roar? Don't move, stand still, I've shut their mouths. Don't move in fear when the bank calls. Don't move in panic when the diagnosis comes. Don't move in despair when the loneliness feels unbearable. Stand still. Let me work. You want to know why you're still alive? After 70, 80, 90 years of lions trying to devour you, think about it. How many times should you have died? How many heart attacks should have taken you? How many accidents should have claimed you? How many nights of despair should have been your last? You survived the Great Depression. You lived through wars. You buried spouses, friends, dreams. You've walked through valleys that would have broken younger souls. Hospital waiting rooms became your second home. Funeral parlors knew you by name. Bills arrived like wolves at your door, month after month, year after year. But look at you. Look at you. You're still here, still breathing, still believing. That's no accident, dear one. That's divine protection. Those lions have been trying to destroy you your entire life, and they've failed every single time. The cancer tried to kill you, but here you are. The bankruptcy tried to bury you, but you're still standing. The depression tried to drown you, but you found air. The rejection tried to convince you that you were worthless, but you knew better. Why? Because the same God who shut the lions' mouths for Daniel has been shutting them for you. Every doctor who said terminal but couldn't explain your recovery. Every bill collector who threatened everything but couldn't touch what God was protecting. Every moment you should have given up but found strength from somewhere beyond yourself. You've been Daniel in the den your whole life, and you didn't even know it. But here's what's different about this moment. This isn't just another trial to survive. This is the final test before your greatest victory. The enemy knows that shocking amount of money is already in motion. He can see the supernatural provision heading your way like a freight train of blessing, and he's throwing everything he's got at you right now. The lions are roaring louder because they know their time is up. The debt is screaming because it's about to be silenced forever. The loneliness is howling because divine connection is coming. The sickness is fighting harder because healing is already in your bloodstream. Don't you see, this isn't evidence that God has forgotten you. This is proof that your breakthrough is so close. Hell is in panic mode. Remember what King Darius said the morning after Daniel's night with the lions. Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions? And Daniel's response still echoes through eternity. My God sent his angel and shut the mouths of the lions. Tonight, I'm asking you the same question that shook ancient Babylon. Has your God been able to rescue you from your lions? Look at your life. Look at what you've survived. Look at the miracles you've witnessed. Look at the times you should have been destroyed but walked away without even the smell of smoke. If the lions couldn't kill you then, they can't kill you now. But the enemy is desperate. He's throwing everything at you because he knows that once this money arrives, once this provision manifests, you'll never be the same. You'll be debt-free. You'll be generous. You'll be dangerous to his kingdom of lack and limitation. So he sends the lions of doubt. It's too good to be true. The lions of unworthiness. You don't deserve this. The lions of timing. You're too old for God to use now. The lions of fear. What if it doesn't happen? Don't move. Stand still. Let God shut their mouths. The same angel that protected Daniel is standing guard over your breakthrough right now. The same power that turned roaring lions into silent statues is working in your situation. Every threat, every fear, every doubt that's trying to devour your hope, God is commanding them to be still. Comment below right now. The lions are silent. Declare it over your debt. Declare it over your health. Declare it over your loneliness. Declare it over every voice that's told you it's over. Because if you can stand still in this final hour, if you can refuse to move in fear while heaven moves on your behalf, you're about to witness something that will leave your family speechless and your enemies silent. The den you're in isn't your tomb. It's your launching pad into the most abundant chapter of your entire life. You've already won. Don't move. The money is coming. Remember those words. Let them echo in your spirit again. You've already won. Don't move. The money is coming. But dear chosen one, the money was only the beginning. Listen to me carefully. What you thought was the destination was actually the departure gate. What you believed was the miracle was merely the invitation to witness miracles. The shocking amount of money rushing toward you right now, it's not the prize, it's the tool. First the money, then the mission. First the blessing, then the testimony. First the overflow, then the outpouring. This is how God operates, beloved. He doesn't give you abundance to make you comfortable. He gives you abundance to make you dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. He doesn't bless you to retire you from purpose. He blesses you to recruit you for warfare. Think about Abraham. God didn't make him wealthy so he could buy bigger tents and fatter cattle. Genesis 12:2 declares, "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing." The blessing was so he could become a blessing. The wealth was so he could birth nations. You thought this was about your bank account? This is about your bloodline. You thought this was about your retirement. This is about your legacy. You thought this was about your comfort. This is about your calling being fully funded by heaven itself. The enemy has been fighting you so hard because he saw this moment coming. He saw the day when you would stop begging God for pennies and start stewarding the treasures of eternity. He saw the morning when you would wake up, not as someone hoping for breakthrough, but as someone carrying breakthrough to others. But here's what's going to shock you. Here's what's going to leave you breathless with wonder. The money flowing to you isn't random, it's strategic. Every dollar has a divine assignment. Every check that arrives, every opportunity that opens, every unexpected windfall carries the fingerprints of the Almighty, orchestrating something beyond your wildest imagination. Deuteronomy 28:2 promises, "All these blessings will come on you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God." Did you catch that word? Accompany. These blessings aren't just visiting you, they're moving in permanently. They're taking up residence in your life like a divine security detail. But accompanying you for what purpose? To sit idle in your accounts? To gather dust in your portfolio? No, chosen one. They're accompanying you into the most significant season of your entire existence. You see, God has been watching you manage the little things. He's been observing how you handled poverty, how you stewarded struggle, how you distributed love when you had nothing else to give. And now he's saying, "You passed the test with empty hands. Let's see what you do with full ones." This is your Abraham moment. This is your moment to prove that wealth won't worship you because you worship the wealth giver. This is your chance to demonstrate that abundance won't absorb you because you're absorbed in the abundant one. But let me tell you something that's going to shatter every religious mindset you've ever carried. God isn't making you wealthy so you can tip better at restaurants and put bigger offerings in the plate. He's positioning you as a financial weapon of mass construction in a world drowning in mass destruction. That grandchild struggling with college debt, your wealth becomes their scholarship. That neighbor facing foreclosure, your abundance becomes their redemption. That ministry scraping by on faith and fumes, your overflow becomes their fuel for revival. You thought this was about money, number. It was about God proving He can still surprise you at 70, 80, even 90. It was about heaven demonstrating that the best wine is saved for last. It was about the Almighty showing a doubting world that He keeps His promises to those who keep their faith. Right now, somewhere in America, there's a grandmother questioning if God still sees her. There's a grandfather wondering if his best days are behind him. There's a senior citizen staring at medication bills, choosing between groceries and prescriptions, whispering the same prayer you used to pray. Your breakthrough isn't just for you, it's for them. Your testimony becomes their hope. Your overflow becomes their evidence that God hasn't forgotten their address either. But this only works if you understand the prophetic weight of this moment. This only functions if you grasp that you're not receiving random riches. You're being entrusted with kingdom resources for kingdom purposes. The question burning in my spirit right now is this: will you hoard this word like a secret, or will you release it like wildfire? Will you keep this revelation to yourself, Or will you pass the torch to another weary soul who needs to know their waiting isn't wasted? Don't hoard this word. Pass the fire. Share this message as a prophetic act. Someone in your contact list, someone in your family, someone in your circle needs to hear that their season of barely making it is over, that their chapter of financial fear is closing, that their story of struggle is about to become a saga of supernatural provision. The money was only the beginning, chosen one. Now comes the mission that will echo through eternity. Are you ready to discover exactly what God has been preparing you to fund with the shocking abundance that's already on its way? Chosen one, as we reach the end of this divine encounter, I need you to carry 3 unshakable truths with you into your tomorrow. First, you've already won. This isn't wishful thinking or religious rhetoric. This is heaven's verdict over your life. The shocking amount of money flowing toward you isn't a maybe, it's a certainty sealed by the faithfulness of God Himself. Second, your wealth isn't random, it's strategic. Every dollar carries divine DNA. Every opportunity bears heaven's fingerprints. You're not just receiving abundance, you're being positioned as God's financial ambassador in a world desperate for proof that He still keeps His promises. Third, this moment changes everything. You're not the same person who started watching this message. Something eternal has shifted in your spirit. The waiting season is over. The walking in victory season has begun. But hear me clearly, beloved, you are not walking this path alone. The same God who spoke these promises over your life is the same God who has been orchestrating every detail behind the scenes. He hasn't brought you this far to abandon you now. Even when you can't see His hand, you can trust His heart. Even when you can't trace His steps, you can trust His character. And beyond God's unwavering presence, you have something beautiful right here, a community. Thousands of chosen ones who understand your journey because they're walking it too. We're not just viewers on a screen, we're family in the faith, connected by the same calling, carrying the same hope. In the comments below, I want you to share what God spoke to your heart today. Don't hold back. Tell us what shifted in your spirit. Ask for prayer if you need it. Encourage someone else who's still waiting for their breakthrough. Let this community surround you with the love and intercession you've been longing for. And please, if this message ignited something in your soul, share it with someone who needs to hear these words. There's a friend, a family member, a neighbor in your life who's been whispering the same prayers, carrying the same weight, wondering if God remembers their address. Be the vessel that carries this hope to them. Let me ask you this final question, and let it settle deep in your spirit. Now that you know your victory is secured, your provision is promised, and your purpose is funded, how will you live differently tomorrow morning when you wake up? Before I release you into your destiny, let me place my hand on your shoulder through these words and pray over your life with the authority of 5 decades walking with the Almighty. Heavenly Father, I lift up every precious soul who has journeyed with us through this message. Lord, you see their hearts, not just their hopes, but their fears. Not just their faith, but their fatigue. Not just their dreams, but their doubts. Touch them right now with your presence, so real they can feel it in their bones. God, open the floodgates of heaven over their finances. Release the shocking abundance you've been holding in reserve. Let checks arrive that make no sense, opportunities appear that defy logic, and doors swing open that no human hand could move. Let their bank accounts become testimonies to your faithfulness. But more than money, Lord, give them the peace that surpasses understanding. Guard their hearts from fear, their minds from doubt, their spirits from discouragement. Surround them with divine favor that makes enemies become allies and obstacles become opportunities. Father, restore their families, renew their health, revive their dreams. Let every tear they've cried in secret become liquid anointing for the ministry ahead. Let every prayer they've whispered in the dark become prophetic declarations over their destiny. And Lord, use their testimony to awaken others. Let their breakthrough become someone else's hope. Let their overflow become another's evidence that you still move mountains for those who trust you. In Jesus' mighty name, We seal this prayer with faith, hope, and unshakable love. Amen. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for believing bigger, for refusing to settle for small when God has called you to abundance. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell. We're building something powerful here, a community of chosen ones who refuse to give up on God's promises. Until we meet again, walk in the authority of who you are, rest in the certainty of what's coming, and remember, you are chosen, you are loved, and you are never, ever alone. Your breakthrough isn't coming. Your breakthrough is here. Go and live like you believe it.